Now, one of Moscow's staunchest allies, the leader of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, has cast doubt on the whereabouts of the leader of the Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who led a mutiny against the Russian government 2 weeks ago. Alexander Lukashenko, who brokered a deal that helped end the rebellion, said the Wagner boss was now back in Russia despite previous claims that he'd been exiled to Belarus. Meanwhile, it's unclear who's now in control of the thousands of Russian mercenary fighters who've been battling Ukrainian forces for several months. Alexander Lukashenko spoke to a small gathering of journalists. Among them was our own Steve Rosenberg, who sent this report.
There are still so many questions about the Russian rebellion. Would he have the answers? The leader of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, had brokered the agreement that ended the mutiny. So we're told. Under a deal with the Kremlin, Wagner mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin was supposed to move here, to Belarus, with some of his fighters. But no sign yet.
As of this morning, the Wagner fighters, and very serious ones, are still in the camps they'd withdrawn to after fighting in Bakhmut. As for Yevgeny Prigozhin, he's in St. Petersburg. Or maybe he flew to Moscow this morning, or somewhere else, but he's not in Belarus.
Yevgeny Prigozhin hasn't been seen in public for days, although we have seen inside what is purported to be his St. Petersburg mansion. These images leaked online, reportedly taken during a raid by Russian security services. They show weapons, gold bars, and lots of wigs. I asked Mr. Lukashenko, if the Wagner leader and his group do move here, would he let them use Belarusian territory to attack Ukraine and destabilize other countries in the region?
Steve, we've never attacked anyone, and we're not intending to. And no one will use our territory to attack anyone. But if there's an act of aggression against us, we will respond. And if Wagner are here, then they, just like the Belarusian army, will defend our interests.
Ever since the Wagner mutiny, the main question we've been asking is, what on earth is going on? And nearly 2 weeks on, we still don't know. The deal that had been announced was pretty clear. Yevgeny Prigozhin goes to Belarus, and Wagner fighters who want to join him also go to Belarus. But we see no sign of that. From mutiny to missiles and the Russian nuclear warheads, the Kremlin says it's moving to Belarus. Would Mr. Lukashenko have a say in whether to launch them? I remind him, recently you said, God forbid I should have to take the decision to use nuclear weapons.
Joe Biden could say the same, and Prime Minister Sunak.
But these aren't your weapons, they're Russian ones. It's not your decision to take.
In Ukraine, a whole army is fighting with foreign weapons, with NATO weapons, because they've run out of their own. So why can't I fight with someone else's?
But these are nuclear. We're not talking pistols.
Yes, nuclear. They're weapons too. And make sure you mention we're talking about tactical nuclear weapons here.
The logic of a leader who, with an iron fist and the Kremlin's backing, has held power for nearly 30 years. Steve Rosenberg, BBC News, Minsk.